Our last few runs have been a little long, so this week I'm not wasting my time looking for better weapons or spirit ashes or spells. We're just gonna pick a starting class, the prisoner, and start. Surely a deep V and a smooth ball head is all we need. To watch these runs live, follow me on Twitch. We're finding new ways to play Elden Ring all the time. Make sure you're subscribed. Over 20% of you are still stuck in the metaphorical prison of not being subscribed. Free yourself and smash that sub button or languish in the cell of your own unsubscribed sadness. Now let's get started. It's about time this man escaped. The best starting class to use the prisoner gear is the prisoner. Who could have guessed? Our man escaped makes his leap to freedom and ends up in Limgrave. We grab all the standard stuff we'll need to restart our life on the outside. A crafting kit, a horse, a wet blade, even though we have to use the same Ash of War, and the War Master's shack for later, even though we have to use the same Ash of War. Why am I doing this? I saved Alexander. I'm not sure how good Impaling Trust will end up being, but I have a feeling this lad can make our thrust stronger if I decide that's something I want. I grab the Physic Flask, which is allowed since it just pops into your inventory, and then get better tears from under the tree. Now imagine a smooth ball in fort height. Hey, that reminds me of today's sponsor, Manscaped. This video is sponsored by Manscaped, specifically by their new beard hedger. You might be asking yourself, Phil, this is a beard hedger. Where's your beard? Well, I wanted to show off exactly how close this thing can get. If you're like me, you don't like to spend a lot of time on your appearance. Who does? So the idea of maintaining a close shave is out the window. But with the beard hedger, you can go all the way to 0.5 millimeters. That's not very much. That's this. Manscaped is here to make sure that you can get the intentional beard look you want. That way your beard is something that's happening on your face instead of something that's happening to your face. It comes in this carrying case, which is great if you're traveling, so you don't have to just leave your trimmer loose in your bag. It's very easy to clean, so it's not like it would get hair everywhere anyway. I love this product, and I want you to love it too. So go to manscaped.com and enter offer code TULOK at checkout for 20% off your first purchase. Or click the link in the description. It's down there, and then you can get a shave as close as mine. Thanks again to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to that man escaped. Alright, now that we're done talking about Manscaped, let's talk about grabbing a smooth pickle from Limgrave and bringing it back to the Dragon Barrow. We don't have any bleed yet, so we just have to bait the Knight's Cavalry to its death, but it kills us twice while we try to make that happen. Kind of a bummer to take those two L's back to back, but it'll set us up nicely for the rest of the run, or at least the first part of it. Last thing we need is Dectus 2 from Fort Ferroth, where we get ratted on the way out. Rats are so strong in this game. I bet we could do a whole run with just the rat ashes. While I run through Lernia, let's talk about what we have. The S-Stock. It's like a rapier, but a little longer and a little slower. The Ash of War is Impaling Thrust, basically just a charged R2 that gets buffed by Alexander's Shard instead of the Axe Talisman, and it goes through shields. Our staff is like a staff. It doesn't boost anything. And it's worse than the Astrologer staff that the Astrologer starts with, which also doesn't boost anything. Neat. The only spell we can use is the Magic Glint Blade, a little floating magic sword that delays before going out. Charging it slows the delay down, which might seem bad, but it's great with enemy AI that dodges as you cast. Also, since it can be charged, it can be boosted by the Godfrey icon. And a Rift Shield.
Oh, that little guy. I wouldn't worry about that little guy.
What do you think? I'm gonna learn how to parry for this? Crystal Tunnel is always boring, but I did Sparta kick this miner down into the boss pit. Remember that because after we stabbed the Crystallian down...
Toasted. What the f is this?
The corpse of the miner dropped it. It was from that. That's so wild that you can drop an enemy from all the way up there into the bottom of the game and the game tracks it. Very cool. We used the Bell-Bearing one to level up our S-Stock, then by Impaling Thrust as an Ash of War, which we already had, but it's important, trust me. And grab the Bell-Bearing 2 from the Altus Tunnel to finish off all of our setup an hour in. Dang, still a lot of setup. At this pace, Johnny Law is gonna be on our ass. Let's floor it. Margaret is the first boss on our path to progress. If this game has a warden, it's him. First, we get a few swords up. Something I forgot to mention about them, they look rad as hell. Trade a few hits and bring out some more swords. Margaret also has laser swords he can summon, but his are yellow. Everyone knows blue is a better flavor than yellow. As he's jumping, we get 3 more swords out. You think I would learn how to not trade by doing a no flask run followed by a no vigor run, but nope, we just trade way too much anyway. And eventually get a stance break for the win. There's something beautiful about ending a fight with a crit. You just lock them onto their sword, then kick them off the blade. How dare you be on the thing I stabbed you with? The Gilka fight ends up being a little bit of a fight. We win, but it's weird to not just steamroll her. The Ritual Sword Talisman will give us 10% more damage at full health, and Gilka's corpse full of runes will give us just enough money to invest in the S-Stock market. If you think a criminal wouldn't invest in the S-Stock market, did you know that wage theft costs US workers $50 billion per year? To get a little bit of that money back, we go to the abandoned cave, get rotted, then warp out. Then get rotted and warp out. Then get rotted and warp out. We can't get a swagger or quick step as an Ash of War because the prisoner does not start with it. That is the one area I think the bandit will do better in, this one specific cave. God, that run's gonna suck. The clean rots go pretty smoothly. This one likes to block a lot, but our impaling thrust can break through her defenses. Oh, and we chose the Fanged Simp Ashes as our starting gift because if we didn't, we couldn't summon at all. Good news though, they're pretty good. They move weird and are hard for bosses to hit, they're aggressive, and they have bleed. Golden Scarab acquired 30% more runes for every future boss. Nerd Juice walks up to us too slowly so we can make some swords to hit him, and it's pretty much free. Patches has a big tower shield, so it's time to thrust him. The Manscaped is happy to thrust any gender. He's not attracted to gender, he's attracted to blocking. So if you've ever seen me playing a fighting game, you know he's not attracted to me. Kind of a bummer. To cheer up, let's go to the Raya Lucaria Academy. We get to hang out on an elevator with a dog, then fight the Red Wolf of Radagon. He summons blue swords.
I do that.
We mostly just let the imps take aggro and spam our swords. Works great. Can Moongrim parry Impaling Thrust?
Yes.
That's a song by Yes, We Didn't Die, and sneak around for the Glintstone Wetblade, which will let us make this S-Stock cold or magic, mostly gonna be cold. Speaking of cold, I'm gonna be cold-blooded and kill some bosses purely to take their money. The Putrid Avatar and the Dragon Barrel can be frosted, just gotta roll and poke, until we got locked by the roots and blasted by Elden Stars Jr. Second try goes better, that's a bunch of free money. Next we mug Grail. It starts off a little rougher, but we can live the hits a little better. And once you get the rhythm, it's smooth as butter. That's a lot of runes. Little awkward, we needed like 100 runes to level up one more time, so I just killed a few guards to get us to that level. Don't want a bunch of stray runes when we fight Radahn. I summon everyone and avoid the arrows on the way in, then I get off the horse and start thrusting. Frostbite is huge since it does 7% of the boss's health, then increases all the damage they take by 20% for 30 seconds. All of our friends gang up and pummel on him. It's pretty great stuff. Oh, and we got it faster since Blide also has some frostbite. Then a stance break and Okina corpse piles him. Yeah, he's looking rough in phase 2. It's a big wave, then a meteor summon, weird order. We get hit by his feet hit us more than his swords, and another frostbite will get us the win. I decided to get all the pickles we need for the rest of the run, unless we go all remembrances. We would never do that though. Doing that would lock us into doing all remembrances for all of the starting gear runs. Do I really want to fight Melania as a bandit?
Bad idea.
Killing Gostok is a good idea though. He drops a silver pickle, that's always nice to have. Godric goes pretty dang smooth. We summon a few swords at the start, a frostbite in phase 1, then a stance break in phase 2 for a big crit finish. Finishing with crits, such a baller way to end a fight. Frostbite infusion makes our S-Stock magical, so I want the magic boosting physic. Sauron breaks my brain a few times on the way there, then I got attacked by some bloodborne monsters, or at least I think I did. Maybe Sauron did a number on me, the player too. You're seeing this too, right? Erdtree Avatar can be frostbitten, it's one of the few status effects you can hit them with, and that's 20% more magic damage for the Draconic Tree Sentinel. It goes great. We frost him up, the imps make him bleed. Keep in mind they are still only +1. Running errands to level up a Grave Glovewort summon is a nightmare. Don't want to do that. I gotta go fast after all. We're rolling around at the speed of sound, or should I say roiling around at the speed of sound. Erdtree Avatar, but again for the Lord's Rune. I shouldn't fight this duelist, but I did. It went bad. Didn't die though, so we can skip the second one and grab the Ritual Shield Talisman for another 30% defense increase at full health. One of the best defense boosts in the game. There is another one, but it would require some edgy moves. Maybe next week we'll do Shadow the Hedgehog. Okay, so I don't know why the Godfrey Shade sauced me up today. I guess I know the imps die fast. They're still +0 and they have like no health. Really, it's just bad dodging on my part. I think the last few runs I nuked this dude so hard I didn't have to fight him, so we're kind of rusty on the sticks. Also, sometimes the game just doesn't give us the crit when we should. It's so weird. When I don't want to crit, I'll magnet hands in. But sometimes when I do, I can be inside them and I won't thrust. 2 deaths. Not actually that bad before we win. Now this Black Knife Assassin gets thrusted. The deeper the V, the deeper the thrusts. Morgoth time, he followed us all the way here. He really is the Javert to our Jean Valjean. Calm down, dude, I only stole some pickles. I let our imps take the aggro at first, then get hit by everything in phase 1. God, I am really fumbling since we got to the capital. My rolls are awful, this run is boned. Unless Javert throws in phase 2, we get a frostbite right before he starts, except he doesn't start after the crit. Okay, charged attack gets him into phase 2. We get blasted by the coughing and have to chug some big jugs, and he goes for the easiest attacks to dodge and punish. The bloody slash, punished. The stab and grab, punished. 2 of his hammer attacks, punished. No blenders. Bless you, Javert. Thank you for throwing for content. Now for Biden lands. Boy, it would be cool if someone could do something about mass incarceration, just saying, in Mountaintops of the Giants. We kill Shabriri, not for anything, just because he's rivaling us for the coolest metal headgear in the game. Ignore Realis, get the Smithing Stone 10. We can only get our sword up to plus 18 right now. Gotta get those 7s and 8s to max it out. Fire Giant time. First attempt, we got roasted on some columns. That's rough. Next attempt goes better. We break his anklet, then get a Frostbite proc. He has pretty great Frostbite resistance, being made of fire and living in Super Canada, but it's not immunity. At the start of phase 2, we get another stance break and crit the eye. God, that looks nasty. Sorry, everyone. After hitting the eye, I move to thrust between his thighs. His thighs. I'm never gonna chase his hands around. Finishing between his thighs is fine for me.
You buy yourself a tape recorder, you just record yourself for a whole day. I think you're gonna be surprised at some of your phrasing.
I think we're safely away from the city now, but I do want a bit of revenge. Let's burn down the system.
I will dismantle this oppressive establishment board by board.
Burning down the Erd Tree apparently doesn't take until you kill Malachath. Not sure why. Let's head into Faram Azula and take on the Godskin duo. I think they're mad because we let Melina die. If we did the Frenzy, I think they'd be mad because we did Frenzy and made Melina mad. Either way, it works. We summon Bernie. He's for prison reform, obviously. Rollout isn't so bad. We can just summon some swords to poke away until it's only a skinny. Bernie and I smash and thrust pretty satisfyingly. Then another skinny comes in, but we kill him while he summons the final Chunky. Chunky also gets got. Easy win. Beastman killed me on the way to the swag jump. That's a bummer. Swag jump works out great though. The swords let us spam the birds for the bird run. All of them are great, but one is pesky and wants to just be a little problem child. We solved that problem and get to the Draconic 6th Sentinel. Just frostbite him. It wasn't even close. Still haven't upgraded those imps, so they got deleted by Malachath pretty fast, but we frostbite and stance break in phase 1. Since he's a 2-phase boss, we can frostbite him again in phase 2. We've gotten pretty good at Malachath phase 2, so we just get some good dodges and clean him out. Now the bird tree is earned, or the Erd Tree is burned. I misspoke. Gideon might be rough, but it turns out this old man can't take my thrusts. We just keep pushing forward and pressing R1. It chain poise breaks him. Hey, it makes sense that we're part of the chain gang. Godfrey next, he has wicked high frostbite resistance, which makes me worried that the Badlands are going to be a 3rd ice level in the DLC. Critical hit him right before phase 2, then he goes for the big earthquake, so we spam some swords and hit him while he goes for phase 2.5. Easy peasy. We could go get a rune arc for Radagon, but let's just raw dog it. First attempt, Hammer Slammer kills us. Not great. Maybe we should level up the gargoyles, but they're fine. It's not like they're gonna help us against the Elden Beast anyway. Second attempt, we get hit right away. Not great, but we can punish him as he tries to grab the gargoyles. You can't grab gargoyles, my dude. He can be frostbitten too. He's vulnerable to the same status effects as the Erd Tree avatars. He's basically just a more badass Erd Tree avatar and is literally an avatar of the Erd Tree, so yeah, that checks out. Stance break, we dodge the dive and Hammer Slammer. I do know how to dodge it. Few more hits and we're into the Elden Beast. Jump in, get a few pokes, then a charged attack for the big stance break. It can't be frostbitten. Some folks suggested using a magic infusion instead of cold since it would have more raw damage, but cold is fine. Radagon is harder than the Elden Beast anyway. Rings come out, but still no stars? Seems weird. Big insta-kill explosion, then we get the Elden stars. We have plenty of vigor, so we're fine. Dodge a few sword slashes, then the triple rings. I've noticed for other bosses, I describe what I do in the fight, but for Elden Beast, I just list what it does because the fight is really just waiting for it to give you openings, like the melee attacks and the sword explosion. We end by using a critical hit to get iframes through the Elden Rain. Holy shit, that's so goddamn cool. That's 21 bosses and 9 deaths in 3 hours and 15 minutes? That was a little fast. Gonna be kind of a short video.
You think we need one more? You think we need one more? All right, we'll get one more.
Okay, we're gonna do all remembrances, but if this is on the tier list, it's right below Harley in S tier. Didn't kill a lot of bosses, but didn't die a lot, and went about an hour faster than our previous fastest run ever. This is actually 2 runs in a row with a 21 boss count, so it's basically the Dex run, but 3 hours faster with 96 less deaths. That's a lot better.
Said that we can do it, you know I wanna do it again.
Ranola is easy. We're maxed out. We just kind of push forward for an easy 1 cycle of phase 1 and push forward in phase 2. We're doing so much damage, we almost kill the dragon before the boss fight warps us out at the end. Hilarious. Into Radon's hole, it's time for the hardest mimic we've ever fought. We can't take off or add any gear, so we can't get naked.
No, I need you to be completely undressed.
I am completely undressed.
Thankfully, the S-Talk trick we used against Gideon works here too. Walk forward, press R1. NPCs are so easy, they'll never be a problem for us later. With ourselves defeated, we can light some torches and fight the Splatoon deer. It just wants to go inky on the floor, then heal. And run away. Annoying boss, deer defeated. Wait, we didn't get a hunting license. Add it to the list of crimes. I grabbed the Black Wet Blade in case we want to switch to an Occult or Bleed build later with a larval tier. We don't, but it's nice to know that we could. Carry a Manor Time Royal Knight Loretta is a joke at this point. Talk to Ronnie, get the knife for Ronnie, and then we go fight the Valorant Gargoyles. More of a Fort Height man myself. We don't summon our Gargoyles because they haven't been leveled up. Just bully one of these down, then bully the next one down. It's easy. The underleveled Gargoyles are going to become a problem. First against Fia's champs. 1 NPC fight, easy. Another one right after, fine, but 3 NPCs coming at us with nothing to distract them except 2 baby gargoyles? Yeah, that's garbage. Absolutely awful. I thought maybe the imps could hold them off long enough, but no, they need some levels. I don't want to do that. They're Grave Glovewort, and that sucks. So let's just go do something else and thrust into the castle's hole. First denial fight goes bad. We get blended by the dual wielder. Second try, also bad. The gargoyles can't do anything, but I've gotten a lot better at this fight, so we can solo Nile since we managed to clear his ghosts out. Second try win. Few more birds, then do the hidden path to the Halig tree, and ignore that to go back to Ronnie to get the statue to flip the study hall later for Fia. We're doing like 6 quests at the same time. I just want to find a faster route to do all remembrances. Sure, the Melania fight usually kills the ranking by killing us, but the amount of time we have to spend running around the world is also bad, considering we're only adding like 12 more bosses. That's a guesstimate, by the way. I didn't actually count, and it changes based on how many bosses we did in the regular run. Anyway, Incel River Main, Lake of Rot, and Astel time. It's another one of those annoying bosses like the deer in the Erd tree. We don't really make decisions in the fight. We just chase it for 3 minutes and hit it when the game decides we're allowed to. All of those bosses would be better with Torrent. Oh well.
What? What's this? Uh-oh, I don't really want to do the work today. I don't really want to do the work today.
We're back for stream 2, and I don't even have that many bosses left, but they are doozies, so let's do a brief detour to level up the imps. Eleanor on the way, why not? After a long time in the clink, it might be nice to see someone dance. Windhand Catacombs, it's one of the worst catacombs in the game. The imps are annoying. The knight is annoying by the ladder. Then the imps get to be annoying again before another knight is annoying by the lever. Just a whole lot of not fun here. Maybe the first time it's interesting, but the catacombs are just like a cheap haunted house. Every time you go through, it becomes less of an adventure and more of a chore. Also, lots of drunk teenagers working there. Oh, the boss is the Erd Tree Burial Watchdog. It's also annoying, but we make it out with the Grave Gloveworts 1 through 5, if you count the ones we can buy from the Bell Bearing. Don't worry, now we get to go up Mount Gelmir and enter the Gelmir Hero's Grave, which isn't better. I don't consider hero graves to be catacombs, but if I did, they would also be the worst. It's like FromSoft held a concept to design the most annoying buildings, then put all the finalists in the game as heroes' graves. We make it out with the Grave Glovewort 6 and 7. Final stop, the Giant Conquering Hero's Grave. Here, they put a fire monk with super armor in a little cave blocked by fire that you have to wait in until the fire is gone.
What is wrong with you? Why would you do this?
But we get out with the 8, 9, and 10. Leveling up Grave Spirit Ashes is terrible. The only other route I can think of is going through the Giant Mountaintops Catacombs for the 5, 6, and 7 Bell Bearing and getting the 7, 8, and 9 Bell Bearing from Faram Azula. But we'd still need a 10 from somewhere, so that'd be 4 stops, still having to go into the Giant Conquering Hero's Grave. This is 3. And they're all terrible. The other 2 steps that are added to the other plan would be worse. Anyway, Fia's champs go better now that our imps can actually throw some hands. hands. Started hugging Fia after, but whoops, we haven't done the study hall yet, so those were just hugs. The worst kind of hug is one without a strategic advantage. If I ever hug you, know that I'm planning something. So let's go do Moog, I guess. The penguin noble gets frostbitten by our Estoc. Shouldn't their feathers prevent that? Weird. Moogwyn Palace is a fun swamp to get slammed by sands, but we make it to the dark cave. I remembered you can summon spirit ashes here, so I let the imps fight the sanguine noble while we buy some more rune arts. There should be a sanguine noble ash in the DLC, by the way. All the humanoid-sized enemies should have a spirit ash. Moog goes pretty alright. We start with some swords while he walks up slowly, and then get some frostbite off to do more damage. The imps have bleed, and Moog is really vulnerable to bleed. I think it's to make sure his exaltation boost pops. He does 20% more damage after someone bleeds near him, including him. But it definitely hurts him more than it helps. Because we went dancing with Eleonora earlier, we have the Moog tier to live into phase 2 and even get a critical hit. Few more bleeds, and we're done. Nice work, imps. On our way to the Halig tree, we kill another tree, the consecrated snowfield, Putrid Avatar. If you make it to the consecrated snowfield, just swing by here, kill this dude. It's Putrid Avatar, you know their moveset, you fought them in every other FromSoft game as the demons. It drops a dump truck worth of runes and one of the best physic tiers in the game, the Thorny tier, which boosts your damage after a combo up to 20%. Pretty nice. Liturgical Town, I tried to snipe the sniper with our swords, but they don't really deal enough damage, so we just run around, kill the first one, then kill the second one, and get grabbed by an invisible Black Knife assassin. Whatever. Last torch, Deathless Ordina, I'm good with that. Halig tree time, we pull off a little heist to grab this ancient dragon smithing stone. Weirdly, it made the Misbegotten worse at chasing us. I don't know why, but in future runs I do this too, and yeah, they get worse at chasing you when you do it. Seems weird. Sniping the snails makes the next run a little safer. We land the swag jump, then remember why we make that swag jump, because the battle mage is really good at pushing you off a bridge. Then we died to Loretta. I was gonna say that's embarrassing, but hey, she's really aggressive and does endgame damage. I don't feel all that bad about that. In fact, I'm proud of how often I beat her on my first attempt. This time, it's just the second. Alright, I think Placidusax next. We can really put him in anywhere. The closest grace is the Great Bridge in Faramazula, but he's annoying. Lots of these All Remembrances bosses are just kind of annoying. I'm not sure if I've said that yet. We get a combo tier and a Frostbite to help us get some more damage. It works pretty good. We even live the Omega Laser, but can only take one more hit before we're toast. The best strategy I found for this two-headed dick dragon is to try and break his stance in phase 1 to just get off as much damage as possible, and then pray in phase 2 he just decides to stop teleporting for 5 goddamn seconds so you can break his stance again. I really hate this guy. Glad he's dead. Now this is Fresh Prince reference, because study hall goes uppy downy and then we get the curse mark of death. Pretty horrible area. Definitely need some hugs after that one. Someone said Fortisax would be free with the swords. Apparently they don't really have great ways to close a gap and handle a zoner, and their head takes a lot of extra damage. Oh yeah, that's gonna work. Guess we'll just spam some swords.
Do you ever space out just thinking about swords?
Okay, yeah. 100%. Yes, correct. All the time.
Alright, I've been complaining a lot, but that one was pretty fun. Time to take a few L's after LFL, but not in LFL. We make it safely through the Waterfall by holding down circle to run. Then get the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman for 20% more physical defense to take on Melania. Anyone want to guess how this goes? Actually, after we figure out what to do, it's not that bad. But it's gonna take us a minute. First strategy, we just kinda fighter. We have Frostbite. The imps have Bleed. She's pretty weak to both. The imps have good poise pressure to interrupt her attacks. They bob and weave to avoid her attacks, and our S-Stock has good poise pressure. Decent poise pressure, moderate poise pressure. But she does this little move that has super armor. You might have heard of it. It's called the Ducky Dance. One day, I will learn how to dodge it.
But it is not this day.
Oh boy. Okay, finally, we made it to phase 2. We spam some swords while she recovers from the onion bomb. The swords are pretty good. I really wish I would have noticed that earlier. Bunch more deaths now. My brain really just got locked in here, but can you blame me? We can't change the kit. We have this sword, one spell, and some imps. That's it. Those are the only tools we have. And the only safe time to use those swords is at the beginning, I think. Honestly, our flask is a little weak. Could be a little better. Weeping Peninsula is a very fitting name for my headspace right now. My whole brain is crying. Sacred Tier 1, 2, and 3. Let's go back to Suffering. Hey, why didn't we use a rune arc? Great question. I don't know. I think I was thinking, what would it do? Godric's would give us maybe a little bit more damage, but we're at the hard caps for dex and intelligence, so not really. We'd get a smidge more stamina and mind, but our vigor is already at the hard cap, so that's probably not going to be all that helpful. Maybe Radons or Morgoths then, but more health would just make the fight take longer. Moogs. It probably should have been Moogs, so the imps do more damage after they bleed. But I didn't think of that till now. It's hard to think when you're getting Ducky Danced every 2 minutes. I'm glad they added some rot to it in phase 2. It wasn't strong enough. But we did learn a strategy right here. The swords are the best strategy, especially if we can get a frostbite proc, and especially if we can pin her into the wall. I've been sleeping on these bad boys because most spells are trash. One day I'm gonna go through all the spells in the game and play a little game of cast or pass, but I'd guess that conservatively, 70% are a pass. This one is a cast. The glint blades have decent poise pressure and stance pressure. They're like pure magic straight swords you can fire from a distance and boost with the Godfrey icon. Your clue to figure this out is that they are literally magical straight swords you can fire from a distance. To be fair to myself, I used carry and phalanx spells in my first playthrough, and those do not have the poise or stance pressure of a straight sword. They're just fancier looking glintstones. Okay, so new strategy. We need a new talisman and kill Godfrey for it. I spam the swords and back up like you cowardly casters. Is this the gameplay you enjoy? Walking backwards and spamming the same spell over and over again?
Are you a sicko?
With 15% more damage from every sword, Phase 2 gets a little more consistent, but I can't fully commit my flasks to Pepsi, so we run out. I will say, it's also great to be a dozen character lengths away from Malenia to avoid the ducky dance. It's easier to avoid if you start further away. Here's a really good run, maybe a winning run, don't look at the runtime. We start with the swords, and continue with the swords. She ducky dances the imps as we go for more swords. Oops, I forgot we do want a frostbite first, so let's run in and get that. For some reason, proccing it stops us from getting the crit. That's annoying. Let's spam more swords. We even protect our imps a little when our swords break her stance. Into Phase 2. Dodge the onion.
Stinky!
Then poke her with the sword to frostbite her, and hey, I'll definitely take a stance break and a crit. Then we do a charged attack and poke while she stands up before running like a coward. Back to the swords, baby. Hopefully those extra pokes will break her stance. She goes for the onion again.
What about if it is stinking inside?
It's a great one to punish if you don't get hit. Twice. We have to chuggy the juggy before we can spam those swords, but maybe I should have just spammed right away to try and get a stance break and or the kill. Sometimes greed can be good. We run out of magic and we have to fight her up close for the last bit. But a jump attack breaks the stance, gets the crit, and the win. Earlier, I said that crits are a satisfying way to end a boss fight, but after taking 28 deaths to a boss, yeah, they're real satisfying. After that, nothing's gonna kill us. Okay, that's the last one. We still have one remembrance left, Rykard, who honestly might be more annoying than Malenia. Harder than Malenia? Probably not, but definitely more annoying. There's a reason he's last. And I'm setting up for him by running through the Spirit Caller Cave and killing the Godskin Buo because they're ghosts. I hate ghosts. They give us the Godskin Swaddling Cloth, letting us heal from combos. Dragon Barrow Cave, I forgot we weren't supposed to die and got ganked by the wolves when I took a wrong turn and ended up in a literal dead end. Kill the wolves first, then the Beastmen of Faramazula for the +2 Flame Drake Talisman. That's 20% fire resistance to make Rykard's magma a little more reasonable. We're replacing 3 of our talismans here. Ritual Sword and Ritual Shield because we will never be at full health standing in magma, and the Golden Scarab since we don't need experience if he's the last boss. Thought about doing the Stillwater Cave for another combo damage booster, but nah, don't want to do that. Let's go to the Halig Tree instead to get the Pearl Drake +2. That's 9% more fire resistance, and Holy and Lightning and Magic, but Rykard only has fire. Climb ladders on the way to Snake Eater's house. Crime is the way the prisoner flies to you. Godskin Noble gets wrecked. This is the 3rd noble we've killed and the weakest of the 3. Save the worst for last. Rykard time. My previous attempts to fight this dude with melee weapons have been miserable. That was with claws and carrion slicers though. The S-stock is longer. Don't let anyone tell you size doesn't matter. Poking with our longsword is great. We're staying basically at full health. Don't need any blue flasks if we're just stabbing. Rykard is also weak to frostbite. I did put a fire infusion on the shield with the Periash of War to maybe re-proc it, but it sounds like a lot. So we're just gonna get the damage boost and keep poking. In Phase 2, Rykard's Rancor is good. It's the Elden Stars of Magma spells, where it totally bones you as a player, but the player version of it is hot garbage. Hey, this one's literally hot garbage. I try it in a run next week so you can see how terrible it is. That's a trash spell. The S-stock is long enough to hit Rykard's stupidly shaped body in Phase 2. First try win. A bit anticlimactic after Malenia, but it's kind of funny that the Rancor spells keep hitting me after the fight is done. All remembrances took 7 hours and 40 minutes. We killed 41 bosses bosses and died 44 times. That makes it a little worse than SpongeBob, but we'll just keep the fast version on the board. Prisoner has some sauce in the starting kit. The S-Stock is a good sword, the glint blades are good spells. Honestly, just get some better armor and the carrion staff, and I think this is definitely a great way to play. To watch these runs live, follow me on Twitch. We're finding new ways to play Elden Ring all the time. Join the Patreon to vote for which starting gear run you want to see next, other than Wretch. I'm saving that for last. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't go to YouTube jail.